You can either read Chicken Soup for the Soul, or you can read this book and get the melanin soup for your soul to achieve your every desire. Greetings to all of humanity. It's really my joy, it's my pleasure and my honor to always bring this message of emancipation to you, whereby I'm pointing you to look inwardly to discover that your real identity is your divinity. And even as I speak to you, I can hear the rain outside coming down, and it's abundance of rain, knowing that the rain always falls in abundance. So I want to talk to you about abundance and how many would have written many books on the law of attraction, but they have missed out the real truth of what Abdullah would have taught Nevill Goddard concerning the Bible being our spiritual autobiography. And that is why at the beginning I mentioned the chicken soup of the soul, because I want to speak to you concerning Abdullah and Jack Canfield. And many people know Jack Canfield all around the world because of his books, Chicken Soup for the Soul and others. But I have to be honest, because when I listen to how people put these men on pedestal, and I know what was taught by Abdullah by way of Nevill Goddard, and many of these teachers of the law of attraction, many of them know about Nevill Goddard and many of them know about Abdullah. But as I would always say, the law of attraction had its agenda, and I have to really expose that kind of agenda. And having born and grew up in a predominantly black country, and know the way how we were raised and what we were raised to believe, I realized that the agenda was to keep the people from not discovering their real identity and understanding that the Bible is a book of the power of melanin. And when I speak about melanin, I'm speaking about your imagination, because your imagination parallels the sun, as in the S-U-N, and the S-U-N also parallels the human imagination. For I always teach you, without the sun there is no life and there is no light, and without the human imagination there isn't anything made that was made. And the people in the islands were given a S-O-N, as in Jesus, which is the image of a white man, to believe in and to worship as the light of the world. When in truth and in fact, the S-U-N, which is the sun, is the light of the world and the giver of our life. And this book is the sun book. This book also, as I said before, is our spiritual autobiography, teaching us how we can create our reality consciously, for it is our own thoughts that is creating our reality. And our brain is a receiver and a transmitter of frequency. Therefore, every thought is a frequency. And Abdullah taught Nevill Goddard this truth of what is real Christianity by exposing idolatry, and how idolatry was taught to a people to keep them in mediocrity. Thus the reason why Abdullah could have gone to the opera without asking Nevill to go and buy a ticket for him, because he was a Negro. That is why Abdullah was able to ignore all of the signs that were forbidding Negroes certain opportunities, because Abdullah knew the secret of his I amness. Abdullah knew the secret of his God self. Abdullah knew his true identity is his divinity. And that is why I'm taking the opportunity to teach humanity how to look inwardly, to discover their real identity. Your identity is not your nationality or your complexion of your skin or whatever race they want you to believe. I think that it is high time for us to understand real equality I think it is time for us to understand the true law of liberty. I think it is time for us to understand the golden rule of life is to do unto others as you will have them do unto you. And so the real agenda of the law of attraction was to continue to keep people in ignorance and have them going after the getting instead of the being. So they going after material, temporal things instead of the discovering who they are. When you're told in the Bible, in Matthew 6:33, that you must seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. Which means when you seek to know who you are first, you will discover the secret of creation and you'll be able to create your reality consciously. Then you will know what is true equality. Then you will know the agenda of things like apartheid. You will know the agenda behind things like KKK. And you will know the agenda behind all of these missionaries that comes to the island to brainwash the people. I have to speak the truth as a true messenger to humanity, because I decided to come here to teach humanity how to look inwardly, how to reclaim their inner terrain and how to balance their inner ecology. I decided to come here to teach people how to observe the real energy, the true sun energy. That's why I mentioned melanin soup. Because melanin is the invisible substance within us. Therefore, the more of this you have within you, will enable you to transcend faster. So it's a space race. It's a melanin war. So when people are doing all of these things that you see that happening to distract the masses, like the pandemic, this scamdemic, the family planning they're running in these parts, in the Caribbean and all around the world, and among black nations, and want to use vaccination and all of these things, is to stop the people from getting this real soup. Not a chicken soup. We're not chickens. But the real melanin soup. Because everything comes from nature. And even the green substance in the plants, the chlorophyll and everything, all of these things are the closest thing to our blood. It must be just one molecule away from the blood. And the sun is what powers all of humanity. And the people who look like me, they're the closest to the sun, and I have to speak the truth. Because even as I speak to you, they're still running programs in the schools in my country, and missionaries are coming from overseas to continue to deceive the people. And they're doing it deliberately. So when I listen to people on the internet talking about law of attraction and they praise up Jack Canfield and these kind of people, I have to speak the truth and show people that the real soup for the soul is right here, but it must be interpreted psychologically. That this here was used to keep people in captivity, and many people who believe that they're real woke and they're real enlightened, they're speaking against this when it was this that was used to enslave the people. Whatever was used to brainwash you can be used to free you. That's why I'm using this book, the Bible, to free the minds of the people, because this is what is used. It's not a book of Kemet was used. It is good for people to vibrate towards Kemet and understand what was done. But at the end of the day, if you're gonna restore the people and get them to walk out of these empty churches, and you're gonna expose all of these preachers who are using the same principle that Abdullah taught Nevill Goddard, and Nevill Goddard spoke about it in 1968, and he passed on I think in what, 19, when Nevill Goddard died, 72 I think. And he talked about these ministers who would take what is teaching and try to take new wine and put it in old wine skin. And that is why you have people going to church and still calling on a white idol, as in Jesus, that doesn't even look like them, yet they want to speak love attraction, yet they want to speak spirituality when they have no true spiritual revelation of who they are. So we have to speak the truth. You know, sometimes when you speak certain things, people get offended, but they only get offended because they cannot deal with the truth. Abdullah taught never got the law of consciousness to teach humanity what is the real soup they're supposed to be drinking, not a chicken soup. Chicken soup is not real soul food. Real soul food come from nature. Real soul food come from looking within. If you want to drink chicken soup, you have to kill the chicken. And they've been trying to destroy the truth of who we are. The truth of how we're born in this world rich. The truth of how we're not supposed to look up to no one or look down on anyone. The truth of how there's no such a thing as any superior race. There ain't no such a thing as race either. But we know racism is out there. We know all of these things are out there, and to see how people would use these same principles that are taught in this book and try to make it sound like they're so intelligent, and they're coming from a business side, and they're coming from that side, and they're coming from the side, and they try to sound all articulate and all of that, and then take the money and come in these parts and build marinas, build hotels, and run a slave program. And while I'm speaking all of these things, young men in my country have just left recently to go in, I can't remember if it's America or Canada, right? But they gone to plant marijuana while men down here have been put in prison for growing marijuana. Because why? Why they're leaving to go and plant marijuana? Because they still have a slave mentality. They still have poverty mentality, and because they've been brainwashed in school to have an employee mentality. And those who put this system in place to rob us of our mental faculties, to rob us of our own human imagination, which is the creator in everyone. And most of these marijuana field, 99.9999999%, they are owned by some white man. And people don't like you to speak this way now. But I don't compromise. I will never compromise for views. I speak the truth. Most white men own these marijuana fields. And I remember when I was growing up as a boy, that American government used to pay like the government down here to run a program called some type of trade with bullshit and get other policemen from around the Caribbean and go and cut down all the weed. And when they cut down the marijuana, they take the marijuana, they carry back and they test it in their lab, and they grow all different kind of marijuana to keep the people in freaking ignorance. And all these fucking black monkeys, I call them monkeys, I have to give them a banana because they have monkey brain. And they walk around with a tail, a T-A-L-E. Not a T-A-I-L, a T-A-L-E. They're going to plant marijuana, working on the white man plantation. It's a fucking plantation mentality. But Abdullah never taught Nevill to raise anyone to have a plantation mentality. He taught him that this Bible addresses the human mind and must be interpreted psychologically. So that we will come to realize that the book in school, it was false imagined. The pen and the pencil, it was false imagined. The bench and the desk, it was false imagined. And in my country, the Prime Minister gave them an education revolution. Yet people call me crazy. People call me stupid. But there's no fucking one who be willing to disprove me when I say imagination is greater than education. Imagination is greater than knowledge. Imagination creates all things. And everything exists in our own human imagination. And everything you see, it was false imagined. It was false thought. It was false an idea. So, no disrespect to Jack Canfield and all of these law of attraction teachers that people want to put on a pedestal, and they all want you to look up to a certain set of people. Like they are God. All of us are God. All of us are connected. There's only one universal consciousness. It seems today that this coming across like a rant, but I believe there's need. There's over 2,500 sailors just come back to our ship and bringing them back since this whole scamdemic, pandemic. Why? And what were they doing on these tourist ship? Scrubbing pots and pans. I don't afraid to speak these things because tell them that. I don't be afraid to call them monkeys too. I do it. But I do it in love. Because I know one of these days they're going to wake up and realize there was a man who was among them who can turn on the light. One who's truly awakened. One who knows that the story that was fed to them from since they were little children concerning the virgin birth, concerning the Mary and the Jesus story is all a damn lie. And there are those who get privilege from the lie. But I'm here to expose all the lie and speak the truth, to give the people the real soup for the soul. This is the book of the real soup, melanin soup, invisible soup, being in touch with the invisible self, sun soup. Everything comes from the sun. Nothing could exist without the sun. So my brothers and sisters, the truth must be known. The great awakening must continue. Don't speak oneness and then you can't balance both sides of the coin. There's some people want to speak more consciousness and want to speak oneness, but yet they still get caught up in the false identity and still get caught up in certain opportunities that have been handed to them, certain privilege. It don't work like that. I don't look up to no, as I said, I don't look up to no one. I don't look up to the white man, and I don't look up to the black man. I don't look up to the Chinese man. I don't look up to no one. I don't look up to the queen. The queen is, the face of the queen is and the money. When I'm living here, I don't look up to no queen. I don't believe in that shit. And then they come and the beautiful gowns, the beautiful botanic garden, and they will do their damn rituals. And the ignorant parents would have the children almost bowing to what a prince of England and what bullshit. All of us are kings and queens. And if anyone listening to this video right now and you count yourself belonging to a race, you better wake up and face the truth. Because really and truly, we are all one consciousness. And if we're going to vibrate as one consciousness, there's so many issues that must be voiced. We do not have to wait until you have a George Floyd incident. As a matter of fact, since that happens, I really look on the internet and I see the amount of things that be happening to black people in America. I couldn't believe. You have to speak the truth. So when people want to write all of these books about chicken soup and the soul and laugh attraction and this and that, and some black monkeys will jump on the bandwagon and talking about don't want to sound religious. The people want to talk about the laugh attraction, talking about they don't want to sound religious. What is being religious? By quoting the Bible when you have the right understanding of the motherfucking Bible. What is religious about that? So I'm not going to fall for those games that they've been playing and those strategies that they've been using to keep the people ignorant. Talking about not to sound religious. All these people always do that. I can call so many of the names on the internet, reaping millions from people, and then they're turning around and going saying they're giving charity, and when they do the charity, they build schools in Africa to continue to enslave the mind of the people. I've heard one of attraction teachers speak about education, what education really means, and means how it means to drop out from and all of that. Then he turn around and say he built schools in Africa, charity. Charity equals fucking poverty. The kind of charity that they're fooling the world with, it equals poverty. It equals ignorance and mediocrity. And I know this kind of Call it ranting if you want to call it ranting. But this clearing of the mind, there's some people just can't deal with it. They just can't live on that level. They're soft. And they're easily offended. And I having fun. So with that being said, my brother and my sisters, if you listen to me, what I'm saying to you, it resonating with you. Doesn't matter who you are, whether you're black, you're white, you're pink, whether you're orange, I don't give a shit what color you are or what identification you hold to. If this what I'm saying to you is really resonating with you and it making sense to you, then it is for you. And if you haven't subscribed, I encourage you to subscribe, to like, to comment, and to share this video. Also, before I leave you, I just want to remind you that this message I bring to you, that it is the single eye, yes, the single eye message of self-realization. With Matthew 6:22 says that if your eye be single, your whole body be full of light. And my brother and my sisters, my whole body has been filled with light since that eye has opened within me. That single eye has opened with me. When I first had that great mighty shaking, that great earthquake of which Matthew chapter 27 speaks of. Hadn't it been for that experience, and then I awake within myself like a fiery being, having heard the unordinary and ascend, burst my contract and came out of the grave, came out of the tomb, because my body is the tomb and the Christ is buried in this tomb. That's why I know Jesus as a white man is a lie. Jesus never exists, but Christ, the experience of your higher self, the higher state of consciousness, do exist. So when I look in the mirror, I see God in the mirror, God in man. That's why I always even speak about using the mirror technique. And that is why everything is a reflection. Okay, and the sun is reflecting everything. That's why I'm saying to you, drink in the melanin soup. The soup of the invisible substance. So with that being said, my brother and my sisters, let me say this: do not let anyone ever deceive you by making you believe that the symbol of the single eye above the pyramid is an evil symbol. No, it is the symbol of the all-seeing eye of God in you, who is your imagination. For you will have an awakened imagination. You come to realize that the eye is the eye of the seer, the eye of the prophet, the eye of the mystics, who would see the truth and know the truth and will bring the truth to you. And that's why I always put my hand above my contract, saying to you that when you have the experience, that you come to realize that it is the rising of the S-U-N in an S-O-N, and that it is the dawning of a new day in your life. For the sun, as in the S-U-N, parallels the human imagination, and the human imagination parallels the sun. For without the sun, there is no life, and there is no light. And without the human imagination, there isn't anything made that was made. And you're told in Psalm 84:11 that the Lord thy God is a sun and a shield, and no good thing will he withhold from you. And the sun is what powers all of humanity. Also, you're told that in Malachi chapter 4 and verses 2, that the sun, as in the S-U-N of righteousness, shall arise in you with healing in his wings. And the S-U-N has arisen in me, not the S-O-N, not a Jesus, not a white idol risen in me. No, my true self, my true essence risen in me, and bring healing for all of humanity. That's why I'm bringing this healing to all of humanity by saying to you to use your mind power, which is your sun power, your God power, your creative power, your solar power, which is actually your sexual power. Use that power to achieve your every desire and drink the real soup for your soul, which is melanin soup, invisible soup, to bring it to invisibility. So with that, listen, I want to say peace, love you all, and out.